Maureen Callahan, host of the Nerve podcast. I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity, but an actual real celebrity, not one of those bullshit celebrities you talk about all day on your podcast. Welcome to
Very
Daily Dose.
kind. Thank you, Dana. And that's the cohort. Yeah, I'm not a part of that. I can assure you.
I need to know number one, I've been reading your columns on Daily Mail for, I think, forever. I always say Daily Mail is like my Bible, and I'm not a religious person. I'm
Mhm.
Jewish, but I wake up every single day and go straight to Daily Mail. Like that's where I go for my news, which could be a problem, but it's where I get all my breaking news. And I always was reading your columns being like, how does she have the balls to say what she does? Like you cut through all of the BS that so many people are scared to when it comes to Hollywood celebs and everything. You don't care.
Thanks. It's actually, people say that to me, and I'm never quite sure what to say because I don't ever really think about it that way. I'm just sort of like, well, that's what I think. And why wouldn't I say what I think? And I guess it's kind of like, it's both a blessing and a curse, I suppose. I figured out a way, like much as Hilaria Baldwin identifies as a Capricorn, I identify as a Sagittarius. And I don't know if you know this, Dana, but one of the most marked characteristics of a Sagittarius is that we tend to blurt out whatever we're thinking without a filter, right? So we're painfully honest to a fault, and like you can sometimes hurt people's feelings without ever meaning to, because it just comes out. Now, as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot better with that. It definitely was something I had to work on. But perhaps it's my zodiac sign that we can ascribe this to.
So okay, let's blame it all on the stars. That I feel
Mhm.
like that's very that works. That works. We can just blame it. I always say that it's my Gemini behavior that, gets me in trouble too. My
Sure.
double personalities.
Mhm.
So, when did you start getting like really into kind of talking all this, just kind of like saying what was on your mind? Like what was your biggest story, I would say, that like got you on the map when it came to talking about celebrity cases or celebrity
This is
stuff?
interesting. I think there's several. So one would be when Ted Kennedy died.
Ooh.
I was the only columnist in America to be like, why are we celebrating this guy? He killed a young woman. He left her to die
Oh.
in like 3 feet
Mhm.
of water and then lied about it and covered it up and never paid for it. And he treated women terribly throughout his entire life. And, it's all in my book, Ask Not, which came out last summer. And so that was one of the first ones. And then I would say I called out Serena Williams at a US Open. She was playing at the time a very young, upcoming star named Naomi Osaka, who
Mhm.
trounced her. And Serena threw any number of fits, and the US Open comported itself deplorably, basically saying, we wish Serena would have won. And I wrote a column saying, this is disgusting. You just, took a huge dump all over this, what should have been the greatest moment of this young girl's professional life. That column did something insane, like 5 million views, like that. Like, and I knew I was like striking a nerve because I was like, nerve. I was saying things that other people weren't saying, but to me, they were like so obvious. Like, they're just in our face. And then I think the big bang of it, or not the big bang, but like the real sort of colossal one would have been a column I did after Meghan and Harry sat down with Oprah and said that the royals were racist and Meghan wanted to kill herself. And she told them that and nobody cared and they wouldn't let her get help. The implication being, well, she was like a biracial, if not Black woman. And like, we don't care if you kill yourself. In fact, we'd probably be happy if you kill yourself. Just my interpretation of said alleged incident. I wrote a column about that and that really took off. And that was like, but I was getting half like really positive reactions and then like half like you're a racist, which I knew
Mhm.
I just had to ride it out. But I think in those early days, especially, a lot of people thought the same way I did, but they were afraid to say that because you were going to get tarred as a racist and then you could possibly get canceled. Luckily, I work for outlets that don't traffic in that stuff. Like they're not going to cancel me. They're not going to fire me or suspend me or publicly rebuke me. And so those are my people. And I think with the nerve, we've taken off faster than anybody really anticipated. And I think that is because we are a non-safe space, proudly and happily. And we are saying the things that I think so many of us are thinking, but have been cowed by the culture into not articulating, lest we become pariahs as well.
I absolutely think that that's why I'm so drawn to your program, to your, I said program, like I'm my grandma all of a sudden, to your show, because it's saying everything that like our inner dialogue, well, I say our, but our
Right.
people's inner dialogue is saying, but are so scared to say. And I've been programmed, I come from this industry. I'm a former casting director and I used to work in the business. So I was so scared of like the politics and the corporate world and just like being canceled. Right. And when I started reporting on Bravo and reality TV and everything, I was like always going with the popular opinion because God forbid you say anything about any of the unpopular housewives that you like, then
Mhm.
you're, shunned and thrown to the unpopular, like the
Mhm.
Bravo house, the Bravo creators that we don't like, like the ones that we don't talk about.
Mhm.
And when I started talking about this, actually, it was kind of, I mean, it was a few different stories, but this Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni story, which we need to just kind of, I want to get your take on, because I love what you've said about it so far. But the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively story is the take was not immediately believing the woman.
Mhm.
And what I notice is a lot of content creators are like they're short circuiting because they don't know how not to just believe women. Like it's very hard for them not to just believe the women. So they just don't cover it at all
Mhm.
because they don't know how to cover a story that doesn't immediately believe the woman, even though the evidence doesn't support the case. And so what I've gone really deep on is like, I don't think that makes you a misogynist. I don't think that makes you, a bad person or whatever. You're just literally taking it case by case, like with Meghan Markle. It doesn't make you a racist. You're just looking at the facts. You're just looking at her personality. You're recognizing an authentic person or an inauthentic person. So what, like, how do you handle those kinds of situations where you're going into it and you're getting attacked? Maybe I'm sure there's been cases where you've gotten maybe the Daily Mail that you work with or Megyn Kelly that you work with, they're not going to cancel you or fire you, but other coworkers that you've worked with in the past or other journalists probably are saying like, wow, Maureen, that was too far or things like that. You never get that?
I've gotten it from people whose opinions I don't respect in the first place. So
Oh.
whenever they'll say some, and people are too cowardly really to ever say that. They do it by like either intimating or like giving you a backhanded compliment or giving you like just sort of like, dirty looks or trying to exclude you when you're at a social event. And like I don't care because those are not people I want to know, frankly. I think that a lot of people they follow the conventional take, the conventional wisdom. And I find in my own life that those are often people who aren't very bright,
Mm.
and they are desperate to fit in and to belong. And that has never been a priority for me. I don't care. And I don't want to know people who aren't critical thinkers and who can't roll around in original, bold, provocative thought. There is a real hunger for this stuff in the culture. I mean, we're seeing it on our own little show as we begin. We're like, I think we're in week 5, but it's why, this is somebody who I so greatly admire when I think about people who say what they think and they don't care, and it's their superpower. You cannot cancel them. They won't have it. Like you look at a Dave Chappelle, who caught a lot of flack for one of his more recent Netflix specials talking about the trans issue and the trans
Mhm.
mania and what he doesn't get about it. And people tried to cancel him, and Netflix stood behind him. And cynically, I'm going to say it, my interpretation, just my opinion. The reason they stand behind a Dave Chappelle is because he makes them so much money and he brings them so many eyeballs. So a Ted Sarandos can say, if you don't like it, we don't care. That's
Mhm.
not always the case. A Ricky Gervais is the same way. It's like Hollywood has a real love-hate relationship with him because he's the funniest awards host there is, because he takes all these people out to the woodshed and he brings them ratings and eyeballs and cultural relevance. But the people in the room that he's making fun of, deservedly so, like they can't handle it. There's fragile egos. Like they make they make millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they're insulated from everything, and they can't take a joke. You know, I'll never forget when there was one Golden Globes where he made a joke about everyone knowing about Harvey Weinstein. And it was really funny. And like Tom Hanks sat there, like he refused to laugh, and he was like glaring. And I'm like, Tom Hanks, really? Like, you can't laugh at this? And then the other was, he gave this great introduction to Matt Damon as the only person Ben Affleck has never cheated on. It's like that stuff. Like, you're like, yeah, give me more of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Ricky Gervais. He also did a great opening, or he did a good long thing about like, no one is coming to these awards to hear your political spiels. Like, please separate this. Like, don't give it to us here. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. He basically said, you all have like 8th grade educations, so shut it.
And like, separate church and state in some weird way. Like, when we go to the Oscars and the Golden Globes, like, please just make it about the movies.
Exactly.
I'm so with you. I agree.
It's Tom Cruise, frankly.
Oh my God, Tom Cruise. Okay, I'm so curious to know right now, like, I know you're talking about Meghan Markle like crazy. I'm not covering her so much because I find her so insufferable that I don't even know like how to cover her. I can't. And people still come into my comments. They're like, why are you so mean when you talk about her? I'm like, I don't know if I'm mean, or I'm just like, my gut feeling about people like her, Blake Lively, they're all cut from the same cloth. Chrissy Teigen too, inauthentic. And they're trying so hard to be relatable that it just more and more and more makes them so unrelatable. I don't know. What are your thoughts right now about Meghan?
Well, it's not just that, but she's mean. She's mean. Okay, so on the most recent episode, which dropped Tuesday morning, I saw this breaking news over the weekend, and I thought to myself, that's it. I have my forever meme that will describe Meghan Markle non-verbally. So over the weekend here in New York City, a Mexican Navy ship with multiple high masts and billowing sails sailed right into the Brooklyn Bridge, and it just fell apart. It just started crumbling, and it was lit up, and it was like against a dusky sky. And so this like grand looking, beautiful ship just starts like falling apart under the weight of an immovable object. And I thought to myself, Meghan Markle is that Mexican ship, and we, a weary populace, are the immovable object that's the Brooklyn Bridge. And she will try and try again to make us like her or buy her jams or whatever crap she's selling. And she's the ship. She'll just sail again right into the immovable object and fall apart.
Is she gonna grow again? Like, after the bridge, she'll like find a way to get those sails back up?
Anna, don't overthink it. She's just on a loop. It's a hamster wheel, as it were. So we'll just rerun this every time. We have another failed takeoff.
Oh my God. And you say she's mean. Like, what specific? So there's all these these reports that she was like yelling at the caterer at her wedding or something that just came out. Do you believe all these things?
Yeah, she has a very well documented, allegedly within the palace walls, history of bullying. Wow. When they left, when they exited, flounced out, they've had an incredibly high turnover of people, like executive level staff, like really smart, accomplished people who last maybe 2 months and get out of there. She bullied the palace, according to multiple credible reports, bullied at least 2 palace staffers, like younger women, out of their jobs. Like, they fled in tears. Okay.
Wow.
You're a duchess. Like, what, why are we bullying people? We're bullying people because, like most bullies, you don't have the goods. You're not bringing anything to the table. You need to feel important, and so that's how you get your kinks, I guess. Like, that's your kink, whatever. Yeah. She's still apparently doing it to this day. But this report that just came out via, I believe it was Katie Nicholl, who is a veteran royal reporter, she's British, said that during the wedding planning, Meghan's wedding planning, she had these caterers come in to do taste tests. And the whole point, as we all know, of taste tests is you taste it, you say, I like that, I don't like that, can we do this? And you get to what your desired result. And she was yelling at these people so intensely and harshly, allegedly, that Her Majesty the late Queen Elizabeth personally took it upon herself to rebuke Meghan. She didn't outsource it to a member of her staff or even to Prince William. She did it herself, which tells you, I think, how dire the situation was. And she said, Meghan, we don't talk to people like that in this family.
Wow. Wow. And I mean, like, if you just take out the royalty and imagine this in any family, that grandma has to come and like say, hey, and the fact that Harry like went through this and like still got married, like
Mhm.
experiences that royal family, that whole story. It's like it's almost too complex and too wild that sometimes I just have to kind of tune it all out. But I mean, I just get such a weird energy from watching her. The smile and the Jamie Lern Kima interview that she did is so incredibly uncomfortable to watch. Now that reminds me, because you did something so funny when you spoke about Jamie Lern Kima, who did the interview with Meghan Markle and her connection, or the same thing as she has in common with another favorite. And I'm using my quotes because I I literally threw her book up in the air and it landed on the ground as my show of no longer in my library, Glennon Doyle. They
Mm.
have in common Jamie Lern and Glennon Doyle. What do they have in common? Remember you said their baby voices?
Oh, their baby voices. Yes, Glennon Doyle. I am not taking advice from any woman who speaks like that. Like, no, it's a no. Okay. And I saw those two partners in crime, as it were, just joking, allegedly, backstage at one of their, like, they're on tour. Like Mel,
Abby Wambach and Glennon Doyle.
oh, Glennon Doyle, right? Mel Robbins doesn't have a baby voice, but she's
No,
not
she has a serious voice and glasses.
right. So that's how you know she really knows what she's talking about, even though she was once $800,000 in debt
Wait,
and
and
has multiple failed ventures in her past and stumbled into this self-help lane. I'm not taking advice from a woman who found herself $800,000 in debt either. I'm not.
I don't know if you also know about the plagiarism. Please
Oh,
tell me
let them
you've gone
theory
into that.
plagiarism. Yeah. Yeah.
No, Mel Robbins stole the let them idea,
Mhm.
allegedly, from someone else.
Yeah, I mean, it's been in the ether, I'm sure, as long as humanity's been around, but it's also a stupid theory. At least the way Mel tells us to employ it or deploy it, like we're just supposed to let everybody do whatever they want to us and somehow achieve a moment of zen over getting wronged and betrayed. Frankly, I like revenge. Okay, I believe in it. I play a long game. If you cross me, you're going to get it. You know, it might be years down the line, but I'm aligned with Fran Lebowitz on this, one of our great minds. I like it. Okay. And I think that anger is healthy. I
Yeah.
think that anger is often cueing us in to the very real possibility that we have been wronged somehow and we better fix it. You know, let them do whatever you want. Like, oh, and the best part of the let them theory is she co-authored that book with her daughter Sawyer, who she talks smack about in that book. She puts Sawyer down a lot in that book. So she co-authors with Sawyer, and then whose name is not on the cover of that book? First edition, Dana. Sawyer.
Sawyer.
But I guess Sawyer is supposed to let her mother just take all the credit, right?
Let her.
Just let her.
I will say, like, it's so funny because that's kind of how I started talking on my show, was about Rachel Hollis. I started beginning of Daily Dose of Donna was like talking about the Rachel Hollis scam and Dave Hollis and the death. And like, I was so enamored in Rachel Hollis in 2016, 17. I fell into that. Like, I want to call it a cult. And I don't know if you've ever gone down that path of like learning about her world, but if you've not, it's an interesting one. But her husband ended up dying a couple years ago, and he was like a huge part of her empire when she was like on stages, and she was doing it all. She was like the big Glennon Doyle, Mel Robbins too at the time, and he was meanwhile like doing cocaine and doing all the drugs while he was telling you. No, he was like heavily on drugs, going live telling us how to live our lives, and then he overdosed. I mean, it's a tragic story, but we were buying books and like courses from a man who was overdosing on drugs. I mean, it's a crazy, crazy, but it's a tale as old as time is like the ones that are struggling the most are the ones who are telling others how to live their lives. I mean, isn't that like kind of how these things work a lot?
Yeah, this is a recurring segment on the show. I'm coming for all of them in this lane, the self-help lane. I remember when Rachel Hollis had her book that was a phenomenon. It was called Girl Wash Your Face.
Yeah.
I was like, that's my takeaway. Like, I wash my face every morning. And every night. I don't need an instruction manual. And I know it's supposed to be a metaphor, but I'm not buying it. But anyway, so this is a recurring theme because we've also tapped into this nerve of people being like, yes, I think they're selling me a fake bill of goods, but everybody I know thinks they're great. Like, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. And what you just said also made me, what was it about Rachel Hollis and Dave and the cocaine? And like I said this on the show the other day, I see someone with a Buddha statue in their yard, I run. I know they're a mess. I know it.
Well, it's always, I mean, and I don't want to generalize, but it's usually the ones that have like some sort of Bible verse in their Instagram profile or like some sort of like, you know, kind, like be kind in their Instagram profile are the
Mhm.
ones that are calling other people names in their comments. You know what I mean? Or are racist, horrible people in their comments. It's like, it's a really interesting dynamic that if you're just who you are, if you are just honest about the fact that you are a flawed human being,
Mhm.
then I like you better. I
Yeah.
don't want you to pretend to be like holier than thou or
Mhm.
better or more amazing. And I'm the perfect example as someone who spent money on all those courses like 10 years ago. I was perfect for them. I was like a little lost. I was in my 30s. I had just had babies. I was just switching careers. I was like, help me find myself. I was buying all the things.
Right.
And I mean, maybe there was something I gained from it. Maybe there was something I learned from it, but I saw the light. I was like, they're all liars. They're all liars and they're cheaters or something. They're grifters. I don't know what it is.
I think it's hitting, it's a secular version of religion. We're all always looking for answers. Nobody ever figures it out. Nobody,
Yeah.
it's like, it's what people in that lane would call a journey. We learned Chrissy Teigen is still on her journey with alcohol the other
Wait,
day.
okay. Thank you. Tell us the update on Chrissy Teigen. You mentioned it on your show. By the way, you guys, again, I'm going to plug, you have to subscribe to The Nerve. It's on YouTube and on audio, right? I
Yeah.
like watching it on YouTube because you pull up pictures and I'm a big fan of your fashion, of your look. You are a
Thanks.
super like visually pleasing person to the
Oh,
eye. I
thank
don't know.
you.
But you're like a fashion girl. You like fashion.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. Like one of our more recent episodes, I'm lucky enough. I have like a really cool like makeup artist and hair person I work with, and it's like I found these earrings, and I was like, let's build a look around these earrings. Let's do like a
Yeah.
'60s look. Like it's really really fun. And I have this jacket I call my devil horns when I'm really really into it. I'm gonna give it to somebody big time. But so I saw a breaking news alert yesterday. This was via ABC News. Okay.
Okay, I can't wait. That's big, big time. ABC News. I mean, this has got to be a big story. What is it?
Huge. This legacy media wonders why it's in a death rattle. Chrissy Teigen
Hmm.
reveals emotional, it was emotional something, like emotional something about her journey with alcohol. Now, if
Mm.
you're going to take a journey with alcohol, you better have a bottle in your luggage. Okay. That's my journey with alcohol. Okay.
You have to have a roadie. It's got to be a roadie. That's a journey.
Yeah, exactly. So she shared that she has quitting drinking and she doesn't know why.
Quit quitting.
Why she can't quit quitting. Like she quit and now she's back to drinking, but she says like she quit quitting whatever, some version of it. And it's just like pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. I have nothing to offer you. I'm not a writer, I'm not a performer, I'm not an actor, I'm not a singer, I'm not a thinker, I'm nothing. But pay attention to me. I need it. I need a dopamine hit in my vein.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm tying up. I'm getting ready to inject my dopamine hit. Yeah, I don't
So
care.
she quit drinking a few years ago. I remember during the pandemic, I remember she was going wild. She would go live every day and she was drunk as a skunk and she was saying all kinds of crazy things. And then a couple years after the pandemic, she had like these tragic stories because remember, she had that stillbirth. It was like a really sad situation. And then she announced she was sober. She stopped drinking. Now she's saying she is not sober. She's drinking again.
Dana, I need to circle back to the stillbirth because I
Yes.
remember the Instagram post about this. I believe
Yes.
it was a carousel. And I believe these photos were art directed to within an inch of their life.
Oh,
Now,
man.
was it a miscarriage or a stillbirth?
Well, I
Because
think it was
they
like
exaggerated.
he was like 20 some weeks in utero. Like it was like mid utero. Like it was mid.
So the
He wasn't
baby
full
died
term.
in utero.
Yes.
I don't want to know this.
It was
Why
hard
is
to
it
watch.
my business? Why I don't like, and you lost a pregnancy. That is truly tragic. You can announce that if you feel the need. I don't know why you do, but I am very cynical when it comes to these people. Extremely. I don't want to be in I don't want a window into your doctor's office or the hospital room in the moments after you have had your stillborn fetus removed from your body. Thank you, ma'am. No. But no, I don't want it. Like, I don't think I'm alone in this. I think we know way too much about some of these people, way too much.
Well, especially when it's a couple like them, because I don't, she is so damaging in terms of her mouth and what she has tweeted and what she has said. She has done so many wrong things. I remember a few months ago, I was at a party and someone said, "Oh my God, do you remember what she said about how she had partied so hard at like the Obama's house or something at an Obama party?" Like she had said something about doing these crazy things. I can't remember. Or like Diddy, I feel like she constantly gets herself in trouble. Like she's not a safe, she's like, she should just not, she definitely should not be drinking if that gets her in more trouble. She should just maybe be quiet for a bit.
Well, don't forget, and I will make sure people don't forget, that in 2021, this young starlet named Courtney Stodden gave an interview to the Daily Beast. I believe it was the Beast, in which she said that Chrissy Teigen had not only told her to kill herself
Mm-hmm.
on the open internet, but then would go and slide into Courtney's DMs and say, in some substance, you really should just kill yourself. Just kill
It's
yourself. I can't wait till you take a dirt nap. Like, this is a grown woman, a mother, a wife of a very famous man. And that's why she's famous. And that's a lot of the source of her rage, I think. Telling a young starlet who was like 16 and or 18 and married to like a 50-year-old man, and who later said, yeah, I was groomed, I didn't realize it at the time, to go and kill herself. Okay, you are a garbage excuse of a human being. I don't, and she admitted it. She not only admitted that she did it, Chrissy, but she went and made the most completely I find insincere, just my opinion, post in which she said the narcissism off the charts. Chrissy, felt so lucky that she had been called out by the culture for saying such things. And this now offered her an opportunity to get better. And this is where the Venn diagram of the self-help lane and that garbage language and celebrity BS comes into play for me, because she's using that kind of meaningless vocabulary to try to paper over truly reprehensible behavior that really would have gotten anybody else canceled, and to use it and to take that, and instead of saying, offering an abject apology and saying like, I'm going to go do some work on myself. I really have a lot to answer for here. It's like, look at me. I get an opportunity to be even a better version of myself. Okay.
Yep. Yep. And just a reminder that not 6 months ago, Andy Cohen, who is, head honcho, not really at Bravo, but really, and executive producer of The Housewives, publicly says on Watch What Happens Live that Chrissy Teigen is his number one choice to join Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after all of this. But yet he cancels left and right housewives for doing such less. But a woman that has publicly offered for someone to kill themselves, he wants her on Housewives. It's such a strange dynamic. I cannot get over the hypocrisy. It's so frustrating to me. So I get it, and I'm with you, and I love that you call these people out. Speaking of calling people out, my audience would lose it on me if I didn't ask you your thoughts on Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. They would lose it on me, so I need to know your thoughts.
I think Blake Lively is in a lot of trouble, and I think her husband is too. And I think, to have Taylor Swift make it publicly known that she has cut ties with Blake. She is not happy about being drawn into this lawsuit. For Gigi Hadid to make it publicly known that her loyalties lie with Taylor. And so Blake is also, my interpretation, dead to her. You know, they were not at the Met Gala. Blake is historically a favorite of Anna's. She is one of Anna Wintour's pets. They are, I think, in a world of hurt. I don't understand why she hasn't just cut Justin Baldoni a huge check. You know, this circles back to what you were saying at the top of your show with like, it used to be like, well, we just believe all women. And now we're seeing like some women are abusing the trauma and the real, you know, reputational, deleterious effects that coming forward against some of these very, very powerful men has brought to them. You know, she's using those, she's standing on those bones. So F her, you know, she thought everybody would just believe what she had to say. Some of those texts that have come out seem to show a Blake Lively. My whole theory of the case has always been she wanted to have an affair with him. He was not interested. He had a threaded needle because this was his directorial film debut and he wanted this thing to be successful. She's writing texts to him that are allegedly saying things like, you know, I know how to perform oral sex without using my teeth. You know, I mean, she thinks this passes, I guess, for like witty romantic banter. I don't know. I think maybe Ryan caught wind of this, you know, and Blake's excuse was like, hey, he was after me. It was the other way around. Okay. And it got out of control. That's what I think happened. And I think if they were smart, which they're not, I know Ryan Reynolds, he likes to wear his glasses in public a lot because this makes him smart. They would bring Justin and his lawyers to the table, cut an enormous check, and disappear for a while. Because as I was saying to my friend Kinsey, there is a circus going on in downtown New York City right now with the world's eyes on it, and it's called the Sean Diddy Combs trial.
Yeah.
So take your troubles, pack them away, leave the city, and disappear for a while, and let everybody's eyes go there. And you know, within 6 months, you're good. You're good. You would be good.
Unfortunately, number one, I agree with so much of what you're saying, obviously. And unfortunately, I don't think they're capable of that because they do have that narcissistic trait. So instead of just being able to like shy away, even if they didn't want to let go of the lawsuit, even if they didn't want to settle and just spend the money, they can't even stay quiet. They're still out and about, prancing around, showing up to every premiere that they possibly can or event that they can. They're showing up on their Instagram stories. They're doing their romantic strolls for Page Six. I mean, they are not shutting the F up. They're everywhere. It's insane while everyone's lives are falling apart around them. And literally, I was just saying to my friend yesterday on my show is that Taylor Swift was her kid's godmother. 10 years of friendship down the drain for this. Like it's so many lives have been blown up for what? For what? Because they can't just like, they can't, you know, for principle. It's wild how fast it kind of spirals for them, and they cannot just like zoom out and be like, okay, whoa, this kind of got out of control. We need to just stop. They need to win now.
Yeah, well, it shows you how transactional those friendships are at heart.
Mm-hmm.
A 10-year friendship, Blake made Taylor the godmother to 3 of her 4 children, which I find gratuitous and excessive, frankly. Star effery, you know, don't be such a star effer. But so Taylor drops her like that, like Taylor drops effort. You become inconvenient to Taylor, you're done. It's not a discussion. The staged, in my opinion, staged paparazzi walks with Ryan are looking more and more tense by the moment. I don't know that this marriage survives this. And to another one of your great points, Donna, like, you know, you're in the presence of a true malignant narcissist, just my opinion, when they never admit defeat or wrongdoing, like at all. Like they can't, it is not in their wiring. And, you know, so again, to your point, like, you know, why would I care what these people think? Why would I care what these people think of anything I have to say? I don't take anything they say or do seriously. You know, they live in a hall of mirrors, and it's all just so really at its heart, it's really grim. It's really grim.
It really is. And just, to circle it back before we wrap up, the let them theory. Thank God Justin Baldoni didn't read Let Them. Because if Justin Baldoni read Let Them, he would have withered away as a victim of, I believe, a fake Me Too. And he would have been just cast away as a sexual predator, from Blake Lively's lies, and he would have never been seen again. But instead, he's fighting back, and we'll see what happens. But I think he has the public opinion support, and the majority of the world, I think, sees the truth. We'll see what happens in the law, but like with the court case. But I am on Justin Baldoni's side on this one. Maureen, you are such a pleasure. I literally could do this forever. I know that you've got a million other things to do, but tell everyone, of course, how often your show is, and also your books and everything, and your clothes and your house. I want everything.
Thanks, Donna. Well, thank you so much for having me, and it was so fun. I hope we talk again.
Yes.
Yeah, no, The Nerve is it's on YouTube. It's anywhere you get your podcasts. We are twice weekly. We typically drop Tuesday and Friday mornings, and we are doing a mini Nerve, which has been getting a really nice reception. So we'll probably be keeping that up for the weekends. That tends to be on Saturdays. My most recent book is called Ask Not the Kennedys and the Women They Destroyed. It's a really fun read. It's dark, but it's fun. It's actually kind of like it's like a beach read if you're kind of a little twisted like me.
Okay.
And yeah, that's pretty much it for now.
So The Nerve is Tuesdays and Fridays plus mini Nerves. So subscribe on YouTube. I'll put all the links in the show notes. Plus you're on Instagram. And do you put like links of stuff in your Instagram of what you're wearing? That's what I want to know.
I'll start doing it. I'll start doing it. It's fun. Yeah, we should do a show notes thing because we're getting some response on that too. So it's because I don't get the podcasters. It's a generational thing maybe, but I don't get the Alex Coopers of the world who show up drowning in their hoodie.
No, that's not. No.
I don't get it.
No, I only do that when I'm knee deep in my kids' sports and then I have to show up live. But in general, no, you show up looking good. You're ready to go.
You respect your audience and their time, and you want to give them everything, right? It's I just took apart, I just did a segment on all these Nepo babies, and I just took apart Tom Hanks's daughter. And she got a book deal because, in my opinion, she's Tom Hanks's daughter. This book is terrible. It's like a memoir of childhood abuse, alleged, but it really turns into a book about her white privilege. I mean, I'm dying. Okay,
I'm dead. I'm on the floor.
Dead. And so her author photo, it looks like an amateur took it in her bathroom. I'm literally, where is her redness corrector? I'm buying your book. Show me some respect. Put a little effort into your author photo. Jesus.
Tom Hanks caught a couple strays in this episode, by the way. Tom Hanks got mentioned twice in this episode.
I didn't even realize it. I've always detected a lot of rage underneath that surface.
Everyone thinks Tom Hanks is the nicest, but there was one moment with paparazzi where he lost it on them. And I was like, there you go. He's always the nice guy, but you see it. There's moments.
Yes. And I think that anybody who's so invested in having us all think that he's such a nice guy, the nicest guy, you've got something to prove. If you're a nice person, you're just a nice person. It's just part of who you are.
I know. Oh my God. I want you guys to all go and try to find the episode where you talk about Ariana from Vanderpump Rules at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I don't want you to have to share that story again, but you did not have the best experience with her.
She was at our table. At our table, and it was the Daily Mail table. It was my first White House Correspondents' Dinner, so everything was new to me. It was the year of Scandival. I am a dyed-in-the-wool original Vanderpump Rules super fan. Our guest that year, Lisa Vanderpump, I met her. She is a queen, okay? She is a queen. And Ariana, those two did not speak to each other the whole night, okay? I think if they exchanged one word, it was amazing to me. All at the same table, small table. And Ariana was a total asshole who thought she was too good to converse with any. She was on her phone the whole time, on Instagram, tweeting. She was like a 13-year-old girl, a very immature 13-year-old. And initially I thought maybe she feels a little bit, intimidated by this room full of people who she thinks are very smart and important. And they're not always the two. But then I realized, no, she's just an asshole. She thinks she's such a big star now that she doesn't have to deign to be a polite dinner guest and join in the conversation, frankly, and be sparkly and fun like LVP was. And I was like, whoa, the culture has misread the Scandival completely. And I immediately flipped to Team Tom Sandoval.
Wow, wow, wow. You heard it here first, guys. I've turned on I feel actually bad for Tom Sandoval. I feel bad for him now. I'm like, he really took the brunt for cheating. Like, that was a crazy reaction for what he did.
So I have really fun, smart friends, and we talk about this like we're Talmudic scholars, okay? And we reference everything. And we came to the conclusion unanimously, like we're the UN, that their relationship had been platonic for a very long time.
Well, they said they weren't having sex.
They weren't having sex for years. They had this house together. They had a brand together. They were like the couple on the show that was stable. And I think they had an agreement, whether verbal or unspoken, which was that Tom could go do what he wanted, just don't embarrass her, and he kind of embarrassed her and it became a huge storyline. And then the New York Times, like within the 6-month span of this breaking, ran a cover story on Tom Sandoval as like the most hated man in America. And I was like, oh my God, this thing has broken a sound barrier. Tom Sandoval is on the cover of the New York Times magazine. Like, we are in the culture, like in a major way. And I think that it will come back to redound to his benefit eventually. But I think he got a raw deal.
I totally do too.
He got a raw deal.
I have a soft spot. I didn't always, but now I have a soft spot for Tom. I really do. Now, years later, I'm like, poor guy. I mean, really, he messed up, but it's not. He didn't deserve the punishment. Like, Jax Taylor deserves to go to jail, maybe compared to Tom Sandoval, in my opinion.
Stuff on the Valley is so dark.
Oh, it's so dark. Oh my God. I can't. Oh my God. We could do this forever. We have to stop, Maureen. I want to recap the Valley with you every week.
Let's talk about the Valley next time. Let's do it.
Promise. Okay, date night. Let's go to date night. Okay, Maureen, I love you. You're adorable. You guys check out The Nerve Tuesdays and Fridays on YouTube. All the links will be below, and I'll put all your Instagram and everything too. Thank you, Maureen, for being here.
Thanks for having me, Donna.